Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination, condition genesis, formula of causes and effects. So these are the terms that we generally use when talking about Paticca Samuppada in English. It is one of the key doctrines of Buddhism admitted by all schools of Buddhism. Mahayana, Theravada, Vajrayana, all the schools of Buddhism admit this particular doctrine of teaching. It is a doctrine of conditionality of all physical and mental phenomena. It states that all phenomena arise in dependence upon other phenomena. In brief, it reveals how life arises, how it exists and continues even from life to life, means rebecoming. In the process of rebecoming, each factor in this circle of formula is relative, interdependent and interwoven, connected with each other, also depending on each other. So even though we just talk about these elements separately, so when it comes to functioning, of course, it's a sort of collective function related to life and total existence. If this exists, that exists. If this ceases to exist, that also ceases to exist. Being the nature of all dependently originated phenomena. Asmin sati idam hoti, imassa uppada idam uppajjati. The Pali term, it is very popular when talking about this particular condition genesis. When this exists, that comes to be O exist. When this exists, that comes to be O exist. With the arising of this, that arises. And when this does not exist, that does not come to be O exist. With the cessation of this, that ceases to. So this is the general idea of Paticca Samuppada. And different scholars talk the same thing, most probably similar way, only a very little difference. This quotation is from what the Buddha taught by Venerable Professor Walpola Rahula, directly quoted from that particular book. When this is, that is, imasmin sati idam hoti. This arising, that arises. Imassa uppada idam uppajjati. When this is not, that is not. Imasmin asati idam nahoti. This ceasing, that ceases. Imassa nirodha idam nirujjati. That is how Professor Rahula Thero has translated that particular Pali stanza when describing Paticcasamuppada. According to Paul Williams, he very simply points out the total function of Paticcasamuppada. This is how he elaborates it very simply and briefly. This is what causation is for early Buddhist thought. It is a relationship between events and is what we call it when if X occurs, Y follows. And when X does not occur, Y does not follow. So even there we can simply understand everything, the existence of everything depends on another. Nothing exists on its own. Nothing exists by itself. In order to appear or begin something, there must be causes needed to it. When those causes cease or disperse, maybe due to different reasons, the effect or the outcome too ceases to exist. Edamma hetu pabava tesang hetum tathagato aha tesang cha yo nirodho evam vadi mahasamano. That is how Venerable Assaji Thero explain or talk about the teaching of the Buddha. He was, by the time he was just enlightened, but he couldn't extensively elaborate teaching of the Buddha, but this is how he covered the whole teaching of the Buddha. To the person who questioned regarding what type of teacher Buddha is and what he teaches. This process of dependent origination, Paticcasamuppada, describes rebecoming of sentient beings, living beings, in the cycle of birth and death, what we call samsara, samsaric life. And this process of dependent origination, Paticcasamuppada, that particular teaching very comprehensively negates and disproves the notion of Atma, which is considered to be unchanging self or eternal soul. In this analysis of dependent origination, nothing can be found permanent related to life. The causes themselves that produce effects also cease to exist. Accordingly, effects too cease to exist. This is stated in Dhamma as Hetum Paticca Sambhutang Hetubanga Niruddhati. If something emerges, if something produces, or if something comes into exist due to a collection of reasons or causes, the same thing ceases existing once those causes disperse. or those causes cease to exist. This principle of conditionality is also called as the law of Dhamma, Dhamma Niyamata, because this is not governed by any divine power. This is the law of nature. This is not done by any kind of Almighty or any particular God. The principle of conditionality is also called as the law of Dhamma, Dhamma Niyamata. And relativity and interdependent of total existence and becoming and re-becoming of life and its cessation are profoundly and extensively expounded. How life relatively exists and how it depends on different type of causes and phenomena in its total existence, becoming everything very vividly explained here. According to the doctrine of conditioned genesis or Paticcasamuppada, the analysis of 5 aggregates, the notion of imperishable, eternal and everlasting Atman, or Atta, or soul, or any immortal entity in or connected to the individual becomes fundamentally baseless. When the 5 aggregates is a so-called life, the life which is considered to be or analyzed by 5 aggregates, there we find nothing immortal, nothing permanent, as so-called soul or Atman. So that concept becomes baseless in this particular analysis of conditioned genesis. Buddhism teaches 2 types of truth. Conventional truth, Sammuti Satya. When talking about worldly type of things, worldly kind of things, that is called conventional truth. And ultimate truth, Paramatta Satya. This teaching also paves the way towards absolute or ultimate truth. So, the conditioned genesis or Paticcasamuppada is a particular teaching where we can understand, or with which we can understand the reality of life or the absolute or ultimate truth regarding the existence of life. Paticcasamuppada or conditioned genesis is additionally supported by Bija or Bija Niyama. Bija Niyama is the law of living matter or organism, what is usually considered as biology. The Pali term Bija means seed. And so Bija Niyama regulates or governs the nature of germs and seeds, and thereby the features of sprouts, leaves, flowers, fruits, and plant life in ecology in general. So I think we can make it clear by having simple example. Sometimes you know that a daughter can get who can have, who can be endowed the same voice of her mother, who sometimes certain features, a daughter can have same features similar to her mother. That is not because of anything or karma, that is because bija nyama or bija naya. So this is also a particular teaching which supports the condition genesis or paticca samuppada. Some modern scholars suggest that laws of genetics that apply to all life, plant, animal, would come under the heading of bija niyama. Biological and genetic endowment of beings are mainly due to the law of living matter or bija niyama. So this is a particular thing that we have to understand along with Paticca Samuppada, even though it is not separately connected with that particular 12 components of teaching in condition genesis or Paticca Samuppada. And here you can see the start of that particular circle of teaching, Paticca Samuppada, Avidya, Paccaya, Sankhara. So we have to understand separately these two terms, avidya and sankhara. Thereafter, we can understand how avidya supports for occurring sankhara. We will initially discuss avidya, ignorance or delusion, or nescience or unknowing. I use different terms which are used by different scholars when describing these factors. Sankhara, mental formations or mental activities. Mental fabrications or mental type of constructions. You can see different terms for avidya. Ignorance, delusion, science is vidya and nescience is for avidya. Knowing for vidya and unknowing for avidya. So these whole terms are simply used by scholars when talking or describing these factors related to the condition genesis and the teaching of the Buddha. Avidya or avidya, which is generally translated into English as ignorance or delusion, which extensively means, so when we when ignorance or delusion is very comprehensively explained, that is not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Then here you can see that ignorance or delusion, which extensively means not knowing suffering, dukkha, not knowing the origin of suffering, samudaya, and not knowing the cessation of extinction of suffering, nirodha, and not knowing the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga. Actually, avidya, if we are going to very extensive, widely, or directly talk about avidya, avidya means not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Accordingly, it is not understanding the Four Noble Truths. It can also be defined as not understanding the authentic reality of nature of life or misperception of the nature of self and related phenomena. So understanding life is understanding one's own life is understanding the Four Noble Truths. Because by way of Four Noble Truths, O Chaturara, such a, what is described is the entity taken to be life. So this is the point where we can see the significance between Buddhism and other religions. All other religions, man is guided into sort of unknown end by religions. But all the time, what Buddhism does is to guide man to himself, to find within. It is the primary root of, so now we are talking about avidya, avijja. So we should understand that avijja, it is the primary root of all types of evils or defilements and suffering. It also prevents the individual seeing the reality, true nature of things as they are. It is the tricky delusion that shows the life to be existing. So the main thing, what does avijja is, life is shown to be sort of existing phenomena. So that's why it is mentioned here, like it is the tricky delusion that shows life to be existing phenomena and permanent entity. So it can also be expressed as the base cause of rebecoming in the round of existence, or the circle of rebecoming in existence of samsaric life. And sankhara, volitions, or volitional formations, mental fabrications, constructions. So different terms are there when talking about sankhara. So you know that fabrications, it is really suitable because sankhara kadarupama. So fabrications means much similar to that particular, just to develop that particular sense. Fabrications are formed in three ways: bodily fabrications, kaya sankhara; verbal fabrications, vachi sankhara; and mental fabrications, mano sankhara. These are called fabrications. So sankhara, mental fabrications or formations or constructions, mental type of constructions, being the second link of the Paticca dependent origination, can be wholesome or unwholesome volitional activities. Mental formations, mental activities, volitions can be either wholesome or unwholesome. Sankhara or mental formations are of three types. They are meritorious or wholesome mental formations, punyābhi sankara. And then comes unwholesome or demeritorious mental formations, apunyābhi sankara. Then third is also mentioned there, but sometimes we can find only two because the third is found even in the second itself. Anejjābhi sankara. Right, that is in English it is called imperturbable or calm and composed. So that is the term that is commonly used there, imperturbable, which means calm or composed type of mental formations. Anejjābhi sankara. That can be found only in trance or dhyan. When somebody's mentality is developed into sort of standard of arupavachara kind of mentality, that particular mentality is identified to be anejjābhi sankara. These three types cover karmic activities or mental formations in all realms of existence. භවතල 31ටම අදාළ කර්ම මෙතන ආවරණය වෙනවා. But anejjābhi sankara can only be of immaterial sphere of arupavachara. Anejjābhi sankara. Generally, sankara are wholesome and unwholesome seeds of volitional mental activities which have potentialities to cause becoming and re-becoming. භව සහ පුනබ්භවයට අදාළ බීජ තමයි දෙපැත්තෙන්ම අපි මේ විදිහට අඳුරගන්නේ. යහපත් අයහපත් දෙපැත්ත. They have sort of potentialities to cause becoming and re-becoming. Becoming. Actually, becoming can be considered to be a present existence, and re-becoming punabhava, life after life. Sankhara or volitions arise in dependence upon avidya. So nobody develops sort of volitions, worldly type of mental formations, if Vidya is awakened himself. Vidya Udapadi කෙනෙක් මේ ලෝකයේ ගොඩනගන volitions සංස්කාර ඇති කරගන්නේ නැහැ. Through ignorance, so you know that it is described in the same thing can be described in different ways. Sankhara or volitions arise in dependence upon avidya. Or the same idea could be expressed like through ignorance are conditioned the sankhara, which have the power of producing rebirth. Anyway, we have to understand something with regard to sankhara. Certain philosophical controversial point is involved there. You know, the meaning of sankhara is sort of collecting or gathering, right? I mean psychological or mental type of gathering. Sankhara is also named like Kamma. You know that Kamma is Chetana. Chetana Bhikkhave Kammang Vada. And Chetana is simply, we can say Chetana is deed or action. Action means mental type of actions. And mental formations. And Sankhara are born in mind. For re-becoming or to bear fruit of actions, one cannot point out where the deposit. That is the area a bit controversial, philosophical. So we cannot point out a particular phenomena where these deposit. It is controversial among philosophers of Theravada, Mahayana and both. Anyway, Mahayana philosophers, they solved that particular issue compared to Theravada by introducing Alaya Vijnana. It is a bit similar to what we call Bhavanga Citta. Then re-becoming is the linking mind is covered with that particular Alaya concept of Alaya Vijnana. Now the argument by Mahayana philosophers is that if the mind is momentary, rising and passing away moment by moment, one cannot point out where potential volitions remain to give effects so that re-becoming happens. But anyway, it is very tricky area that we can, I think we can talk about those type of things most probably at the end of this particular program, as they are very high philosophical. We need sort of philosophical approach just to discuss those type of things. Even we have some issues regarding Bhavanga Citta, Alaya Vijnana, and I can't remember the other matter. Gandhabba. The volitions related to Gandhabba. Then comes Sankhara Pachya Vijnana. Vijnana arises in dependence upon Sankhara. Same thing can be expressed another way through the mental formations or condition consciousness. So I think we can, even earlier we discussed that Vijnana consciousness is of 6 types: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. So I'm not going to further explain, as we previously discussed these things in a bit detailed manner. Anyway, we have to understand Vijnana comes into existence in dependence upon Sankhara. The following aspects can be observed in consciousness. So these are certain aspects that we can observe related to consciousness. Vijnana or consciousness is conditioned by mental formations or fabrications. Sankara. Vijnana is conditioned by Sankara. And second, Vijnana or consciousness and body, the mind and body, Namarupa, are interdependent and inseparably interwoven. Neither cannot exist alone. Either Nama or Rupa cannot exist on its own. They both are interwoven, inseparably interwoven. And Vijnana or consciousness flows as a stream in the process of life and acts as a continuity across rebecoming or rebirth. That's why when talking about Vijnana, we say most of the time, we just mention that not simply consciousness, we just call it stream of consciousness, as it is identified in nature of sort of flowing. And following again, we can see another characteristics related to Vijnana. Following characteristics can be observed in the stream of consciousness or Vijnana. Consciousness or Vijnana arises as a result of the material sense basis or faculties or ayatana. Ayatana, generally ayatana is translated to be a place where things gather. So temple is also a particular ayatana where Buddhists can gather. Where generally only Buddhists can gather. Likewise, when it comes to the ayatana of eyes, only visible forms can gather, not anything else. Always corresponding elements are, objects are in all there. And consciousness is of 6 types. And each consciousness is exclusive to each sense base. So we can never see visual forms with another organ. We can see visual forms only with our eye, not with the ear. So that's why we call consciousness is exclusive to each sense organ. It doesn't never mix with another type of organ. Always it associates the corresponding object. Consciousness or Vijnana itself is a unique faculty. Vijnana is itself a faculty. So consciousness of Vijnana knows its relevant sense base, including the mind and mind object. So each Vijnana has the clear idea of its own corresponding area. Then Vijnana Paccaya Namarupa. So through vijnana or consciousness are conditioned the mental and physical phenomena. Nama Rupa, which constitute being of an individual. Through vijnana or consciousness are conditioned the mental and physical phenomena. Nama Rupa. Vijnana Pratya Nama Rupa. So Nama Rupa are two elements which constitute being of an individual. Nama Rupa refers to the constituents of a living. Nama Rupa refers to the constituents of a living or sentient being. Nama is generally used to refer to the mental phenomena of a person. And Rupa is used for the physical area, physical component. Nama Rupa designate a living being. Even microbic kind of beings can be considered to be sort of very simple type of Nama Rupa. Even amoeba. Nama Rupa are also initially used to name the psychophysical organism or mind and matter. When translating that particular term Nama Rupa into English, we can see these English terms are used. Psychophysical organism. Psycho. Nama, physical organism. Psychophysical. Nama Rupa. Or mind and matter. Nama, mind, Rupa, matter. Or sometimes we can see psychophysical constituents. Psycho, Nama, physical constituents, Rupa. Or simply we can say mentality and corporality. Mentality and corporality. Or mentality and material. Mentality, Nama, corporality, Rupa. Mentality, Nama, materiality, Rupa. So these are used when translating that particular term. At this stage, total number of Rupa Khanda is not developed. Because at the following stage only we can see the total organs are grown now. But at this particular stage, we cannot notice that kind of thing. The physics is not with all the sense faculties. That means the way that we consider that they are kind of organs. Maybe at Nama Rupa stage, those sense faculties are very simple, not fully grown. 28 distinctive Rupa are not totally developed to form Ayatana. Rupa sense basis. There must be some physical state just to bear the mental phenomena. That means sometimes it can be mentioned to be embryo, a particular, similar to a particular stage of embryo. Kalala avastha. අවයව ඔක්කොම නැහැ සංවේදී ඉන්ද්‍රයන් ප්‍රාථමික මට්ටමේ තියෙන. එතකොට ඊට පස්සේ නාම රූප පත්‍ය සලආයතන. Then comes සලආයතන. Sense basis clearly develop at this particular stage. Ayatana is generally translated as sense faculties or sense bases or sense media or sense spheres. There are 6 internal sense bases. Adhyattikani ayatana. They are also known as sense organs, sense gates, sense doors. These sense faculties usually get connected with parallel 6 external sense objects, corresponding sense objects. Rupa Sabda Gandha Rasa. Bahirani Ayatana. And Salayatana Pachaya Passu. When those ayatana are there, contacting process impressions, they naturally emerge. When I is there, naturally it gets contacted visual forms. Phassa means contact, impression, or touch. Due to sense basis. Touch means not the sense that we simply touch with our hands. When 5 physical sense organs, Chakku Sota Ghana Jiva Kaya Mana, in the mind base, when 5 physical sense organs, Chakku Sota Ghana Jiva Kaya, in the mind base, mind, when those organs get contacted, when they meet corresponding or relevant forms of external objects, or sensorial or mental impressions, then sensorial or mental impressions arise related to that particular contact, relative to the occurred contact. The sense faculties are eye, chakku, ear, sota, nose, ghana, tongue, jiva, body, kaya, and the mind, mana. Visual forms eye, sound ear, odor nose, tongue taste, body tactility, mind object. Sense base is the gathering point of relevant external objects. The eye has the capacity of serving as the base for vision. And the eye, chakku, gathers or collects visible forms or objects. That is the nature of eye. All the time, it collects, gathers visible forms. Actually, the process of whole life can be considered to be this particular contact. All the time, this is if we say the life is going on, it means the contact is in progress. That is what when contact is in progress, that is what we identify to be life going on. The ear faculty serves as the base for hearing, and the ear sota gathers or collects sounds. All the time, what the ear does is collecting or gathering sounds. The nose serves as the base for smelling. The nose, ghana, gathers or collects odor. The tongue serves as the base for tasting, and tongue, jivha, gathers or collects taste or flavors. The body faculty has the capacity of feeling tactile sensations spread throughout body. And body kaya gathers or collects touch or tactile sensations. Kaya means even internal organs of the physical body. Everything is included there, physical part. That means sometimes that's why we feel even inner sensations. The mind has the capacity of contacting mental phenomena. And the mind, mano, gathers or collects mental objects or mental phenomena. Dhammarama. That is the nature of mind. Mano. The objects නැත්නම් mental phenomena මවනෝ ඉන්ද්‍රයන් වහගෙන හිටියා. The life is the entire process of contact that we experience throughout the whole life. So actually now I'm going to end up that Paticcasamuppada first part here because there are 12 elements that we have to discuss related to Paticcasamuppada. I think we can continue the other part the other day. Otherwise, it will be confusing and boring. And the other thing, we don't have enough time even because we need to do the English lesson as well. Anyway, Venerable Thero, do you have any issues that we should further discuss? I mean, the things that we've been discussing so far. Yeah, Genesis Thero, do you think that
yeah, this border of this, what you call that, not Panchamuppada, that's Four Noble Truth. Third and fourth are mixed, I think, because that path leading to cessation come to first and the cessation path will be going to the last.
okay, I think I didn't notice that anyway, but I will check it again.